All right, welcome back here. We're going to channel again. So today is December 8th, and it's next channeling here. We are doing, what are we doing? We are doing, oh yeah, The Dark Night of the Soul, Part 2. So yeah, here we go. I don't know. I don't control these things. It's all done through Archangel Raphael and Saint Germain. How are you doing? How's your universe? Pretty good. My universe has been pretty good. I came home from work tired and fell asleep. And, yeah. I had tickets to a concert, but didn't actually even want to go. I don't know. Crowds just don't enter. I don't know. Sometimes you just rather sit at home. I guess. I don't know. Anyways, yeah. So I hope your universe is doing swimmingly awesome. And remember, everything you do creates your universe. So I didn't really want to channel, but I got to create my universe, right? So it's about consistency. It's about keeping my word to Saint Germain and Archangel Raphael. So, yeah, exactly. Are you keeping words in your universe? All right, so standard rules apply here. Let me move my gargantuan water container out of the way. And, yeah, here we go. All right, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, Josh. Welcome back. We are glad you are here. It is I, Saint Germain, and Archangel Raphael, and we are here to discuss more of your Dark Night of the Soul. We had basically left off where your Akashic records, where your Akashic memories would come through, and the veil would come upon you. So the veil would come upon you during your Dark Night of the Soul. What is that veil? What did Josh mean when he was talking about listening to the Ellen's Parsons project and the song Time, and how that was like a veil? When you are ready, if you have made an agreement with yourself, the agreement has to be with yourself first. So you cannot just wake up in this lifetime if you have not agreed to wake up, so to speak, in this lifetime, although waking up is a never-ending process. But again, we digress. If you did not, when you sat down with your council of elders, your angels, your soul family, and you said, I want to go back. If you did not state that I want to clear X, Y, and Z, I want to ascend or wake up or see the light or realize I am a source, whatever you state, you will not wake up in this lifetime because you have not contracted for it. You can be banged in the head with all the glories of the universe. You will not see it because you are not contracted to see it. So do keep this in mind. When you are out there beating the drum to people, if they are not contracted, if they have decided they are not going to wake up in this lifetime with all the extra sun that is coming through, all the extra central sun rays, all the extra energetic beams of light that are coming onto your planet, they will absorb them. It'll make it easier for them to ascend in the next lifetime. It'll even make their lifetime in this one less dense. But they will not wake up fully. You could sit there and say you vibrate, you are source love, and they will look at you like you have a hole in your head. But you have planted a seed, but you may not get them to crack and wake up, so to speak. It is those who are meant to wake up who just wake up. You are contracted. We help. Your memories start to flood. Your feelings start to change. Your emotions start to get louder. Things shift in your universe. This is all your choice when you are preparing to come to planet Earth. If you are planning to ascend, so to speak, then there will be a lot of cleanup that has to be done first. You may have a lifetime just of cleanup first, where you are learning lessons and reliving and clearing those lessons first. One can realize, like when Josh was a younger child, he was telling his parents that he was just God walking around on earth. so that God could experience whatever Josh is experiencing, which is exactly the case, but he had no feeling behind it. It was just an intrinsic knowledge. It took clearing his dense trauma body first, before he could even become aware that in a real way, not in an intrinsic way, not in a knowing that you are, but I cannot feel it, and I am not even acting that way. And, well, yes, I know it. Everything is still a trauma, so to speak, before Josh woke up, or before anybody wakes up. So you may have an inkling, or you may even state it. Yes, I am Source, walking on earth, as Josh did. As many of you might have as well. Lots of people have that inkling that they are who they are. They know who they are. But you may have that inkling, but you may not have that feeling. That energetic inside of you feeling that, yes, you are Source Love, walking on earth, so Source can experience everything you are experiencing. And you are creating your own universe, so Source can realize that it's a grand creator in a denser field. And then you are, as one, creating an even larger field, so you can realize that you are all one giant energy, creating a giant and larger universe. But again, I digress. If you are not contracted for that in this lifetime, you will not get that. So those of you who want to bang the drum, you will have people who will listen, like Josh. The people who are meant to wake up in this lifetime will gravitate to the people that they vibrate with that will help them to wake up. It's all contracted. You just don't see it. So, for example, those of you who are watching Josh, who is channeling Saint Germain and Archangel Raphael, those of you who are watching are contracted in some way to watch. Your vibration is matching with what Saint Germain is saying. Your vibration is matching how Josh is presenting the information. It is vibrating back to you and resonating. Otherwise, you would not be watching this. You might be watching, say, Lori Ladd or the Medium channel or whoever else you are deciding to watch. We hope you're watching a variety and catching whatever frequencies are picking up to you. Because it's not only through Josh, but through the Medium channel, through Adam, or through Lori Ladd, or Phil Good, or Inspire Nation, or Kyle Cease, or whoever you are watching. All are excellent teachers. It's what vibrates with you. Who will give you the lesson? Who will help you to wake up? So keep this in mind. There are lots of teachers out there. But if you are banging your drum against somebody or for somebody who is not listening, who is still in their traumas, who is coming home from work and saying, Bob did this and it annoyed me, and Fran did this and she was a pain in my side, instead of saying, yeah, Bob acted like Bob, I love him anyways, or Fran acted like Fran, and you know how Fran is, and we love her, we hug her and walk away. That's with love. But if you are still complaining about these people, and they did that, and this customer did that, and Sheila, oh my gosh, Sheila, you don't even want to get around Sheila. She's just, no, Sheila. If you are in those spaces, then yeah, you're not, exactly. You're not here to wake up. Keep these things in mind. If you are in that dense trauma body, it is what it is. You programmed, or you're staying in your program in this lifetime. There's other lifetimes to make that choice, of course. Or you are releasing your dense trauma body, if you have contracted to do so. And of course, if you have contracted to do so, then you must move into the dark night of the soul, as we had discussed earlier. We had left off in your dark night of the soul, where we were flooding you with memories. The memories that you are having of all your traumas, all the sadness that you have. During your dark night of the soul, your trauma body wants to release these things. That is why they are coming to you in a flood, so to speak. Everybody's experience is different. There are lots of people who you cannot bypass the dark night of the soul, but who have sped through that dark night of the soul. And then you have people like Josh, who took 7 years. But he was also carrying 7 lifetimes of trauma. There's a lot of that as well. What are you clearing from your dark night of the soul? Are you clearing traumas For Josh, he had his past life regression session through Lee Mitchell. And so with his past life regression session, he had more to clear because he had to go back 7 lifetimes to when his mom, leaving Ireland, Scotland, England, somewhere with tall grass and a horse, passed him off to a man in a kilt. But again, we digress. That was 7 lifetimes ago. But that's the core trauma. So when you are going through your dark night of the soul, are you in your core trauma? What was the triggering trauma? It's going to be hard for you to understand, or maybe it's not, but you chose all this. This is what's even weirder. Is all the traumas and the dramas that you are sitting and you chose to have those. You chose to experience those. So you chose parents that would give you those traumas, give you those dramas, give you those things to carry through so that you could battle out of it. Or you could learn from it. Or you could wake up to yourself as source. It is those who are really broken, who find the light in the brokenness, in their damage, that wake up truly and most heavily, deeply, I should say, into their source love self, in leaving their dense trauma body. Your experience in your own personal dark night of the soul will vary differently from what Josh experienced, but Josh can only state what he has experienced through what he has experienced, so he is going to state it through his experience, through this channeling, so to speak, through Saint Germain. But when you are in your dark night of the soul, there's a lot of crying that can happen. You are purging all those stuck and trapped emotions. Think of it this way. You are a dartboard. We're making this very easy. So every time somebody hurts you, every trauma that comes up, every disappointment, every time you tried to run the show and it did not work, anything that you've attached to your dense trauma body, each time something happens, imagine a dart is thrown at your board. Well, there comes a point where that dartboard is going to be pretty filled. And either you're going to break or you have to clear the dartboard, so to speak. Think of that as your dark night of the soul. It's the clearing of the dartboard. You have to get rid of everything that's stuck to you, so to speak. You have to be able to absorb that and release it through you, because right now it is attached to you. That is why we are saying you are a dense trauma body, because you have taken these traumas and made them as who you are. I am a failure. I am a loser. I am whatever you are. You dropped out of college, so you are a failure and a loser. Whatever you might think you are, even though you are not that. You are just grand source love. But whatever you think you are has to be purged. You have to realize that none of that was you in the first place, and that the you that you think you are doesn't even truly exist. Now, there's different levels to that for each individual, and depending on how much you purge, how much more light you bring in. You will always, in some form or fashion, be purging your traumas, your dramas. But what happens as you go through your dark night of the soul and you start to flip onto the other side is you may still have a trauma reaction. We had mentioned in a video back near Thanksgiving where Josh had a trauma reaction to customers who were very rude and thought they were better than everybody in the universe, which is never the case, but you can come off that way egotistically when you are attached to your money and your career and all the outside things, but have no idea who you are inside, generally speaking. You put that energy out, and yes, it can rub people the wrong way for sure, as it did Josh. The point being is that in order for you to clear yourself of your dense trauma body, you must allow things to move through you. So when Josh felt uncomfortable in energies that were placing him in a lower, darting him and slamming him into a lower vibration. Because they were Josh could have stood up, but at the moment he was triggered. But nonetheless, it cleared really fast. What you'll notice is you'll have a separation. You'll begin to have a delineation between, oh, that's my dense trauma body. I don't want to be there. I'd rather be inside as source love. We're going to have to get into as well, how do you get inside to yourself as source love? First thing is clearing yourself. A lot of it has to do with sitting in silence. When you are in your dark night of the soul, I'm going to be as honest as possible. Silence is your best friend. Silence will keep you grounded, keep you in place where you are. And that's where the thought for Josh came, and it's true for everybody. You created all of it in the first place. So all the traumas and the dramas that you went through, you chose to go through purposely so that you could wake up, so to speak, and realize that you were source. It's all a big show, so to speak, for yourself, to wake yourself up and realize that, oh wait, I am not this dense trauma body. I am source love walking on earth. I am the grand source field. I am my own universe. I am the source of my own universe. And the body is there so that I can prove that to myself, and things happen. That is how all this works. What you attach to that body, then you must release in order to realize that you are just a grand source love. And it comes in layers. You may start with, I hate myself, I don't love myself, I would like to die. And then you start peeling it away. I got beat up by Mary, and if you're a female or male, whatever. I got beat up by Mary, or got beat up by Fred in high school. I got whatever happened to you. Your bike was stolen. We had mentioned that before. Or maybe somebody made jokes about you all the time. Whatever it might be that happened to you, you have to then, instead of when you had stuffed that trauma into your body, and it became part of you, your dense trauma body. Who are you? I am the trauma, right? That's what you are. If you are in your dense trauma body. I am the person who got beat up by whomever during high school. If you have not walked that through your trauma body, released it, it's still in there. You can actually still have reactions to being beat up in high school. If you sit down, you will still cry it out. You may still feel it. It may still be part of who you are. You may not be as friendly to people since that situation because you have not cleared it yet. You may even push people away unknowingly because you are carrying the, just stay away, people just beat me up energy. You don't even realize it. So when you are going through your dark night of the soul, you have to go through that. You have to relive your experience in your trauma body in order to clear it. This is where a notebook and a lot of tissues might come into play, because you're going to have to feel those emotions that you've been stuffing and blocking. You have to sit through those situations and realize at some point that they all happened for you and that none of this was your fault. And even if it was your fault, it's nothing who you are now, and you aren't any of it anyways because you aren't your dense trauma body. You are the source energy inside of it in the first place. That is what we call the work. There's no specific way to do the work. It spills out. You will be fed your traumas through your memories. It'll be up to you if you grip those traumas or cry them out or release them or sit down and go, boy, that was silly. Why was I so sad about that? It's truly up to you. But it must be done. This is your dark night of the soul. You have to go through all the darkness in yourself to get to your soul. Plain and simple. This may not be a very long video because we are talking about the dark night of the soul. Yes, and Josh can't open his eyes. It's very, the energy that he notes, when he opens his eyes, he's looking at the clock on the actual video. Because he is not channeling when his eyes are open, if you've noticed. The energies are too much for his eyes to be open to channel. If we pause, he can open his eyes. If he closes his eyes, we get back into the channel. It's an interesting deal. Everybody channels differently. But from this end, you are best to write all these things out too. What's going to happen is flooding is going to happen. Not in your home, favor to that, but flooding in your mind, in your heart, and through your body. You're going to feel these traumas. You may have tremblings. You may get sick here and there. Why? Because these things are coming up and releasing all these toxins that you've held in your body. What happens also during your dark night of the soul is that you begin to experience other changes within yourself. Your diet may start to change. You might start to realize that eating pizza 4 nights a week may not be the best thing for you. You'll start to see little changes in your universe. You might switch from whole milk to oat milk or almond milk, for example. You might become vegetarian. You might not. But as you start to get less dense, as your traumas release into the ether, because they're not attached to you anymore and you're not even your dense trauma body. As you sit down and you, I remember when I was beat up. It was no fun. This is what, and then you cry it out. And then maybe you even write a letter to that person who beat you up, and then you release it or burn it or even mail it to them if you still know where they are. Whatever you choose to do, these are your things in your dark night of the soul. But as you clear your dense trauma body, what's going to happen to you is that you are going to find that you are changing inside yourself. As you release the darkness, the light will start to trickle in. You are going to, ever so slowly, feel that there is some hope. It comes in waves, it goes up and down, because you may pull off a really big trauma, or you might just cry it out one night because you are sitting alone. And that is part of your, I've been alone for how many years? That's what happened to Josh. It's quite simple. He was alone for many years through his dark night of the soul. So a lot of crying was just him being alone. Nobody to call. Where is he going to turn to, so to speak? So a lot of that is going to be situational too. You might cry because you didn't get where you wanted to go in life. But then eventually you'll realize it doesn't matter where you go because you're just source love. And then you can't really get anywhere anyways because when you die, where have you gone? You go back to yourself. Right, exactly. None of it was even here in the first place. But again, we digress. You will start to change. You might want to start hugging people. You might start to do positive writing. Once it all cleared in Josh's case, channel Archangel Raphael and say Germain. That could happen to you too. Anything is possible, but the point being is, as you shift from the dark, dense frequency and release it, moving it out, you're bringing in more light into your frequency, into your body. So you are going to change. You may not see a big outside change for a while. Even Josh hasn't seen a huge outside change, but his slow and steadiness will make that change happen. You too will have those changes, but the biggest change happens inside you first. And that's where you will be grateful, because you will see, for example, where something may trigger you, where you sit at the light and you go, come on, stupid traffic light, I have things to do. And then you'll go, okay, it's not the traffic light's fault. It's mine. I left 10 minutes late. I cannot blame the traffic light. It is my fault. Before, you would blame the traffic light and then every car running around and everybody else. As you loosen your field and bring in more light, you will see more truths in your universe as well. Just like, hey, you leave the house late, it's your fault you get stuck by traffic lights and it makes you even later. If you leave the house on time and you get stuck by traffic lights, guess what? You still get there on time because you are anticipating the traffic lights. Are you not? So when you see that you are creating your universe, again, and you are releasing your traumas, your dramas, your failures, your whatever you need to release in order to find your light, and you are releasing those things, you will change inside. You might be at Starbucks and the person in front of you, or a coffee shop, wherever you get your coffee. If you are lucky enough, and again, keep in mind, you must be grounded in gratitude at all times. But if you are lucky enough to be able to walk into a place to instantly buy coffee, where you have the funds to instantly buy coffee, keep in mind those funds that you spend on instant coffee in your universe, where you poof, and coffee shows up, and you walk out of the business, that may be all somebody sees in an entire month on the other side of the world. So you keep those things in mind. More gratitude equals more openness and more in your universe. If you just get your coffee and walk out and get all pissed off at the people who are making your coffee because they are not happy or did not make it exactly how you want, but yet you are still drinking your coffee and you are drinking it in anger, you're telling the universe you are not even grateful that you are able to walk into a cafe, a store, an instant coffee shop, so to speak, and bring yourself out with a cup of coffee. And that is magic. A lot of people do not have that magic. Just to get the water to make the coffee might be a half-a-day project alone. You go to the river, then they bring it back, then they have to boil the water to clean it, then they have to maybe obtain the coffee, then they have to find a grinder, some way to grind the coffee. They may not even have a proper mug, or the mug may be something they got out of a garbage dump. You have no idea. So I keep these things in mind. We keep going back to that. Because if you are dervishing through your life without an air of gratitude, what you are dervishing through with an air of arrogance will disappear from your universe at some point. Keep that in mind. But again, we digress. As you lighten up, you will change. Your outside may or may not change for a while. Those are based on your beliefs as well. We are not talking beliefs in lack and other things as well. But as you release your traumas, let alone your beliefs in lack, that all comes as well. But those are like a second phase of your dark side of the moon. The first is just to sit there in the trauma of your dramas, or in the drama of your traumas, until you can release them through crying, writing them out, and kind of shaking them off your field. Realizing that's not where you are now. This is where presence begins to come in. Because if you are present in your current, then that is in your past. Or so to speak, in your Earth linear timeline. Technically, it's all happening now. But because you're on Earth, it's a magical system that we have set up where the timeline is linear. So you can go, okay, that was then. Lesson learned. I am here now and can fully experience my now, knowing that I fully walked through and experienced what I finally left inside of myself from my then. Does that making sense? I hope it is. Again, though, this is all your choice. You could do none of this. But if you start to fall into a dark night of the soul and walk away from it, you will be haunted for the rest of your life because your traumas will just keep popping up because you're in that space to clear them, but you are not. So you'll be trauma-dramaed, and you may cry one day and not know why. But if you allow yourself to work through the process, there's glory and beauty on the other side if you allow yourself to get there. But even walking through it, like we've been stating, your field will be lighter. If you are eating lighter foods, for example, and you are releasing your traumas, you might start to lose weight. You might even reverse some aging. You might stop baldness if you are losing your hair. If you are releasing your stresses, your body is releasing its stresses too. You are carrying out these cortisol around. So you are always in anger and stress and fear. And a lot of people who fall into the dark night of the soul are also in trauma mode. They are always in lack mode. So they're always chasing the rent and chasing their bills. That builds cortisol. You're in anxiety. You're in fear. You're in lack. So that builds a body that is always pushing adrenaline and chasing the next, did I get to my car payment? There comes your cortisol levels shoot up. Do I have enough to make my car payment? And this and that and the other. And so maybe you're gaining weight and your hair starts to fall out, or your skin just doesn't look as good, or your eyes aren't as glistening as they were. And you're tired all the time. And maybe, maybe your pants don't fit as well now, and your shirts don't fit as well. You see what's going on here, right? Exactly. So as you go through your dark night of the soul, all of that will fade away. Things will go in reverse. You might start losing weight. Your cortisol levels will go down. So what does that mean? When you sit down and you relax, you'll feel different. You'll go, wait a minute. I don't feel as dense. I don't feel as heavy. There's a lightness inside me. These are things that start to happen as you clear yourself of your traumas and your dense trauma body. You might see gifts open up. You might be gifted a tarot card deck, or you might be urged to buy one. Why? Because your gifts are now starting to open up. All of these things are just blocked. You have just been blocking yourself. Humanity is just a big blocked mess. People just walking around living in old traumas. We are just like broken. You're like a broken record, if you want. Like, I was robbed. I was robbed. I was robbed. I don't trust people. I don't trust people. I don't trust people. It's just a record that's stuck in the same groove. No trust. No trust. No trust. Until you release the fact, okay, I was robbed. What happened? Well, it's not even my fault. It's the guy who robbed me. It's his ego. It's his fault. He went to jail. It's not my fault. I had my window locked. I did everything I was supposed to do, so to speak. This is a lesson for me then to go, okay, I can step through this, and not everybody is that way. It's just one crazy individual, so to speak, or one person who's definitely not crazy, so to speak, but definitely detached from the fact that they are source love. And at first, what people don't really realize is the same energy that somebody would put to make a nice sign and stand on the street corner or beg people and stand there and dance around with that sign. You could put the same energy into creating your own universe. It's your choice. Just like the person who put the energy into breaking into a home, somebody's home, they could put that energy into creating a business or doing other things. It is all your choice. Is it easier to break into a home? Maybe not. Actually, you have to plan it. You have to make sure you don't get caught. You have to run around with the guilt of it. You have to run around with I got to get rid of this stuff. If the police show up, this, that, and the other, that's a whole lot of energy. People do not realize that they are putting in energies. The homeless person who's making a shelter and pushing the cart around and all of this, it is just as easy for them to stop pushing the cart around and go into the offices of the churches or the security nets or the state where they can get help and push their life forward. They may not be capable and they may be filled with trauma. That may be the case, but what we're stating is a lot of you are creating energies. You push out energies that don't get you what you want, but you are expelling the same amount of energy that could get you what you want. So you are doing the opposite. You are chasing around in your lack energy when with a lot of energy there and ginning this, that, and the other up. But you could do the same and change that and create a universe for yourself that brings you out of that lack. This is why your dark night of the soul, again, is important, because you may be putting energies, and we are not saying you're homeless or any of that, and there are a lot of people who are homeless who need help, way more than that. But we are saying those who are just lazy, what have you, putting more energy into, like if you're selling drugs, you are running a business, right? It's all you if you want to run a legitimate business or sell drugs and run an illegal business where you put your energy. Exactly. You're putting it in a fear, trauma, negative zone, or you can release all that and move and create something that may help humanity. But again, that's your choice. But you are running a business. And don't deny that you are not a businessman, so to speak. It's what kind of business are you running and how are you creating your energies? What are you ginning up? And then, of course, those energies are going to the grand source field. And what are we throwing into the grand source field? More fentanyl. This is fun. Not really, but you get the idea. So as you release all of your traumas, release your dramas, you will release your old self. There will eventually come a point in your dark night of the soul, as you are crying and writing and crying and writing, that new things flow in, that you begin to release your old self. Maybe you become as we stated before, a vegetarian or a pescatarian or vegan even. Maybe you start realizing you have love for kitties and start adopting 2 or 3 kitties and turn that love that you couldn't love yourself with, but you know that there's love in there, that you start loving kitties. It's a start, right? It's an amazing start. But as you'll lighten up, you will see it gets better. There will be dense times, do not get me wrong. Your dark night of the soul is like a roller coaster, as we have stated as well, where you will have glimpses. And we give you those glimpses because if you did not get these glimpses, you would not probably continue on. But where you will get major glimpses of your future self, so to speak. We give you glimpses of what it's like to be a higher, denser being. If you are walking your path, if you are clearing your traumas, you might wake up one morning and go, wow, I feel like I have never felt this good. I do not understand what is going on. My heart is climbing out of its chest. I feel this energy shooting up my back. If you are grounded in gratitude and you are walking through it, we will give you those tastes of what it is like to live cleared. Because we do not feel it is fair for you to chase something that you do not even understand. Not even chase, but to work towards what you are not understanding is. Now keep in mind these things are fleeting. They may last a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or may just be a day. Maybe just even a couple of minutes. Be grateful for those because you will return back to the sad state that you felt before, or the state that you are in. If it was sad or not, I don't know. But the state that you are in before we gave you the glimpse of the euphoria of being in awakening. I think that is a good place to stop. We are going to leave it there because that's where you should strive to get to. Ground yourself in, if you are not in your dark night of the soul, still in your trying to figure out what your universe, going on in your universe, that's okay. You will get there. If you want to initiate a dark night of the soul, you can start to do so by writing out your traumas, your greater traumas. You can start writing out what you think is holding you down. What are your energies? Where do you jump off? Where do you get angry or jealous or frustrated or mad? Where are you yelling at people? What is going on when that happens? Start writing these things out. Start noticing your patterns. The larger part of your dark night of the soul is also learning your patterns. Breaking those patterns. That's part of what we will discuss in the next video, is breaking your patterns, creating new patterns, and then we will go back to cause of how you are creating your universe. But I did kind of jump ahead. We did kind of jump ahead, so to speak, with the dark night of the soul, because I do have a feeling that there are a few of you out there who are watching, as Josh was for many years, who are just like, I do not know what is going on. How do I get out of this? This is so sad. What is going on? Crying and writing, and at 3 a.m. What am I writing now? Why am I writing this sad stuff? What is going on? If you are in that space, you are well loved. Saint Germain and Archangel Raphael, this is our specialty. Josh was tapped on the shoulder when it was just enough. Okay, you've cleared enough. And that's also something we will get to, is there's enough clearing that you realize that you are source, and the rest of it is just dense garbage energy that you can dump off in the first place. Because you are not attached to your dense trauma body. You are not garbage, nor is what your life created garbage, but what you will realize is that you are carrying it around. Like you are carrying a garbage bag full of garbage energy, so to speak, that you need to just drop in the bin. And there comes a point down your line, and maybe sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but there comes a point where you go, I'm just done. No more. I release all the energies at this point. Because you've done enough work through the denser core traumas that you realize, I'm not this dense trauma body anyways. I'm the source inside. Whatever happened to it, happened to it. I release it because it's not my story. My story is that I am the light. That's my story. For that, we will end it for today. And tomorrow we will come back with the next portion of your Dark Night of the Soul. We love you. Love yourself. Yes, releasing your patterns. That is what we are going to discuss. Creating new patterns. Releasing y'all patterns. Yeah, Archangel Raphael and Saint Germain. And we have channeled Love Yourself. We have not discussed universe. We are discussing you right now and all the dense junk that is attached to you and your trauma body. As you loosen up, your universe gets wider. It gets larger. It gets louder. It gets more amazing. Keep that in mind as well. The more dense your trauma body is, the smaller your universe is. The less dense your trauma body is, the larger, more bright, and more shiny your universe is. The more I can attract, the more it spins into other universes, and the more it shines. What are you doing in your universe today? When you wake up in the morning, are you grateful? When your feet hit the floor, are you saying grateful? You set your energy for your day. If you hit your floor and you go, but it's cold, I want to get back in bed, blah, 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 you have already run away from your day. You've already complained your way out of your day. Try not to complain one day. See if you can do that. Try not to complain hour by hour. Ooh, maybe you get cold coffee. Ooh, try not to complain. Maybe it's raining outside or snowing. Try not to complain. In fact, maybe you have a long drive to work. Try not to complain. Flip all your complaints to gratitude. I'm grateful I'm in a car. I'm grateful I have an umbrella. I'm grateful I have a work to go to. I'm grateful I have ready coffee and not have to get the water from the river and bang the beans and grind and all this stuff. So how you see it, how you see our universe is how it creates. We love you. Releasing transmission. 4120. Wow. 4120. 120. Wow. All right. Grateful. Thankful. Every time I do these, it sounds like on my end, like it's coming out on your end, like it's going to be some jumbled mess. But then, like, I stop it, and then the next thing I do is play it for next hour. And, yeah, it doesn't sound jumbled at all. It's like, by the end, I'm crying. It's like the most clear thing I've ever heard. And, yeah. I'm grateful. Thankful for you. I love you. Grateful that you are a part of my universe. Yeah, if you made it this far, I'm curious. Somebody put 100 in the comments. I love you. Grateful. And, yeah, see you in the next channeling. This, I'm going to keep going here as far as I know. Getting ready to, and if you made it this far as well, I'm getting ready to release a video that will detail what's next. I'm going to do a live channeling for you guys. At some point shortly, I'm being told maybe next 2 weeks. And after the live channeling, I'm going to start doing channeling one-on-one. So yeah, let me get my new work schedule, which is going to carry me through the end of the year, and then we're going to, which is a blessing, and then we're going to get things moving. Love you. Love yourself. It all starts with self-love as well. If you're in the dark night of the soul, write it out. You are not alone. If I could hug you, I would. Set up, maybe through all this, I just got to download, set up a hotline for those in the dark night of the soul. And I'm not kidding. If I had a hotline I could have called at 3 a.m. where I'm like crying my ass off, it would have changed my universe. I love you. See you.